Hello, I'm Jansen Crane. I'm running for Branson Alderman for Ward 1. Welcome to my first issues video. Let's talk about the minimum wage. I remember writing an essay about this 6 years ago in college, so I know it's nothing new, but has definitely gained some traction lately with the current administration in office. So I want to briefly give my thoughts and opinions on this topic of a $15 minimum wage. Now, I will say that on the surface, it sounds like a great idea. Giving people more money for their work is something that would really help people out, and that sounds like a great idea. But I think we don't think about the unintended consequences of certain policies sometimes. And that's what I want to focus on here are a few unintended consequences that may happen if we raise the minimum wage. The first thing is that a minimum wage in and of itself, I think, can devalue a higher paid position. What I mean by that is this. Somebody that's in a higher position is obviously paid more than an entry-level position. They have more responsibilities, they've been there longer, various reasons, but they are paid more. So if you have, let's say, somebody making $12.50 an hour, that is a supervisor, and they have a team of people underneath them making $10 an hour. If the minimum wage is suddenly raised up to $12 an hour, then his entire team is going to be making more money. He may not make more money, though, because he's already making $12.50. So if the company keeps his pay the same, but has to raise everybody else's up, now he's only making 50 cents more. That is a devaluation of his job. Of course, a company could remedy this by just saying, well, let's give everybody a raise, and we'll just raise everybody's wages $2 across the board. That would fix that first problem of devaluing, but that would raise other problems, which I will address in these next couple scenarios. Now, these scenarios are extremes, so I will say that one is an extreme in one direction, one's an extreme in the other, and most likely what would happen is some combination of these scenarios, but the outcome is negative in all cases. The first scenario it would be that the company would have to raise the prices of their goods. Obviously, the company is going to have to pay more in wages either way. If minimum wage rises, then the company's expenses are going to rise. There's just no way around that. So to still make money, they may have to raise the cost of their goods. Well, if that happens, then that kind of negates the wage, because you had to raise the prices by the same amount you raised the minimum wage, and now the people that are making minimum wage still can't afford to buy stuff because the price went up. So that kind of negates the purpose of the minimum wage anyway. The other scenario would be on the other side of that, where they want to keep the prices the same, but obviously they have to cut their expenses, so they decide to cut maybe up to half of the labor force. That's obviously not a good situation there, because then, yes, you have half the people making a good living wage, but the other half of the people are not making anything because they've been laid off. Also, in that scenario, the people that they keep are going to be the ones that have been there longer, the ones that have been harder working, and so the people that are going to be out of a job are those that were having a hard time finding a job before. So this may be a very unintended consequence of raising the minimum wage. Raising a minimum wage in general is moving us closer to a socialist society. And of course, some people say, well, that's the goal, that it would be better to have people, closing the gap of the wages, because in either case, you're going to have people doing lower jobs making more money, and people doing higher jobs making less money because they're either going to not get as many raises, or if they're the business owner, they may not be making as much money. And some people could say that that's the goal. I'm not debating socialism versus a free market economy in this video, although if you want to see that, let me know in the comments, and I may do that in the future. But even if that is the goal of raising the minimum wage, then that last scenario I just explained actually does the opposite. It increases the wage gap, because those that were making the minimum wage to begin with now won't be making anything because they are out of a job, and those that were there for a while doing a good job are going to be making more because the minimum wage has risen. So it will actually, I think, increase the wage gap. Again, these are extreme scenarios, and most likely a combination of these would happen, so it wouldn't be quite as extreme on either side, but either way, the outcome is negative. I believe that implementing a minimum wage at all restricts competition among businesses. It goes back to my belief in freedom and choice. I believe that the company should have the freedom to set their own wage. Since we live in a free market society, then we have the right to choose where we want to work. So we're not going to go work for somebody that we believe doesn't pay fairly. If that is the case, we're going to go somewhere else and find a different job. That's the freedom that we have as Americans, and that leaves the door open to competition among these businesses, because they can bring the best people to work for them by offering better wages. That is negated, at least in some form, by the minimum wage. So that's just what I want to briefly leave with you. Please leave your comments on this video. I realize that this is just my opinion. You may have your own opinion. Whether you agree with me or don't, I would love to see your comments and see what you think about it. Also, share this video on your social media pages. That would be a big help. And as always, if you can afford to, please donate to my campaign. We've been making great progress with my campaign, but we do need some help and support to keep the momentum going. So please visit my website, jansencrane.com. Tell your friends about it, share on social media, and be looking for more videos to come in the future.